Hello, welcome to our Wednesday devotional time. Thank you for joining me today. I want to remind you of a story in the Bible that you may remember, but I found one phrase there that challenged me and challenged my faith. So let me remind you of the story, and then I'll show you what I want you to get today to help, I think, challenge your faith. There was a family in Shunem in the time of Elisha the prophet. And as Elisha would go from time to time near their home, they would stop and they would offer him a meal, and they often would feed him. And this became kind of a routine situation. In fact, it happened so often that one day, the wife of this family asked her husband, "Can we build him a little lean-to on the side of the house? We'll just make that so when he stops by, he can have a place to stay and a place to study." And we call it a prophet's chamber. They made it for the prophet Elisha, and they did that. And from time to time, Elisha would, on his way here or there, stop at the home there in Shunem and stay in that prophet's chamber. One day, he was with his servant, and they began talking, and he said, "I wonder what we can do for this couple. They have been so gracious to us and so kind to us." And so he asked the wife, "Is there something we can do for you?" She said, "No, we're fine. Things are well for us in our lives," and so forth. And so Elisha let her go. He asked his servant, and his servant said, "Maybe you haven't thought about this, but they don't have any children. Wouldn't it be nice if they had a child?" So Elisha called the lady back and said, "In the right time, you're going to have a child." And she said, "Oh, don't tease with me, don't fool me." No, Elisha said, "Yeah, that's my prophecy. You're going to have a child." And she did. She had a child. He was born. He was healthy. He began to grow. And one day, while he was out, I think, helping his father, sounds like helping his father in the field, he had a headache and took sick and died. Not a long extended illness, just had a headache, got sick, and died. Well, the mother brought him back and laid him up on the bed of the prophet of Elisha when he was there, and sent to her husband and said, "Let me take one of the animals. I need to go on a little trip. Give me a servant and give me one of the animals." And he said, "Well, what's going on? What do you need to have that for? What's the problem?" And here's what she said in 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 23. Instead of saying, "Our son has died," or instead of saying, "I'm going to seek the prophet's help," she said this, I believe demonstrating her faith. She said, "It shall be well. It shall be well." So my challenge today and my thought for today is this. When things come into our lives, problems come into our lives, difficulties come into our lives, confusion comes into our lives, when anything like that happens, how do we respond? Do we begin complaining? Do we start sharing with others? Do we pray? Or do we, trust in God, say, "It shall be well. It shall be well"? In the New Testament, we often quote Romans 8:28, which says, "And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose." But I believe this lady, this Shunammite woman in Elisha's time, was saying the same thing. She was saying, "I trust God. I trust his prophet. I'm going to present the problem to God through the prophet, and it shall be well." Let me remind you that whatever you're going through today, if you're serving the Lord, if you're being faithful, if you don't have sin in your life that needs to be confessed, we can trust him. We should be able to say, "It shall be well." That's my encouragement for you today. Whatever you're facing, it shall be well. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.